Welcome. It's Ed Martin. It's the Pro America Report. Great to be with you tonight, and thank you for tuning in. We have a really good, important program. I mentioned earlier in the week that Hans von Spakovsky, the attorney, constitutional lawyer, who also was a former Federal Election Commission member, who's been a guest on this show. He's a very good writer, a very smart guy. He's over at Heritage Foundation in the Meese Center. He will be with us, but for a very specific topic, to talk about mail-in balloting and election integrity and the problems we have to face in the coming election. He's really good at this. He's really smart. He's kind of a professor. And so Hans von Spakovsky will be with us. You're going to want to hear that interview. Well, also, I got a couple requests from people. You know, there's lots of famous people who are doing graduation commencement addresses online. No one asked me to do one. I'm not saying that, but there was a few. Last week, we ran a short segment with Jordan Henry called Heartland Heroes. It was a redux of our Heartland Heroes segment. We used to do it every week back when the show began. A couple years ago, 3 years ago, every week we get Jordan Henry, who's the research director over at the Phyllis Schlafly Eagles Center. I work with him all the time. He's a brilliant writer, really smart guy. He would go out and find Heartland heroes and bring them on the show. We haven't done it in a while, but last week we ran a short segment, about some of the folks that are graduating and how they're heroic and what they're doing. And, you know, obviously aware of how much has changed for people who are graduating from college and high school in a time of, you know, this great pause. So we'll replay that at the request of a couple of listeners. So you'll hear that in a few minutes. And I will wrap things up by walking you through the reality of the swing constituency in the upcoming election. Really important. It'll be important for the president. It'll be important for the rest of the candidates up and down the ballot, especially including some of these Senate races in key places like Michigan and Arizona and others. So you're going to want to hear that. There's a piece that ran over at our sister site, townhall.com, which has really encapsulated the argument well. And so I'm going to tell you about that. And I'm going to walk you through it, and you're going to be well informed when we're done. Excuse me, I was trying to get that up on the thing. All right, so don't forget proamericareport.com. Proamericareport.com. If you go there right now, you will get yourself signed up for the Wink, the daily What You Need to Know. We're about to do that for you right now, and there's a lot there. Also in the daily Wink, single email that gets sent to you. It'll be sent to you at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 5 a.m. Pacific Time, and you'll get that into your email box. I promise I never give your email address out. I never borrow it, trade it, nothing like that. I just make sure to respect what you're doing and the importance you have. So go there and sign up, proamericareport.com, and we will send that to you. I will make sure you get signed up there. Or you get signed up there, I'll make sure you get sent this important email. All right. What do you need to know today? Well, there's a lot to cover. It seems like some of the rioting and some of the silliness is settling down. Maybe we've got ourselves past that. It feels like we've got ourselves past that. I'm not 100% sure that we have, but it feels like maybe we have. Now, the question I wonder about is if there will be sort of a flare-up. But I think, yesterday when we talked about this, that we're at war, remember what I'm saying. We're not at war with our fellow Americans who believe that we should be better. We're at war with the people that are rioting and burning things down, and Antifa, and if they're Black Lives Matter, and others who are organizing this and using communications and using a network to destroy things. That's who we're against, and that's the problem that we have to address. And we shouldn't move on. We should not move on. We should get ourselves focused and go ahead and track all those folks down. That's a big part of this. That's something that we need to do, and I hope you will help me and support us doing that and staying focused on that task. All right, but what do you need to know today? If you saw the headline on the show when I was on the Periscope, or if you go look at proamericareport.com, you'll see the headline was about Roger Stone. And that's what I mean by knowing the bad guys. So I just started to tell you, we need to know the bad guys. Antifa's bad. We need to know the bad guys, the organizers of these riots. But we also need to know the good guys. And knowing the good guys means that there is a set of people that have been on the side of the fight to stop the coup of the president. You know who's not been talked about much recently is Papadopoulos or Carter Page. You haven't heard much. Their lives were ruined too, by the way. We hear a lot about General Flynn, and I'll give you an update in a minute about General Flynn, about how important what he's been up to is and what's going on. But we haven't heard about Carter Page, and we haven't heard about the efforts by Papadopoulos and what happened to him. So that's something that might, we may see some more attention to. But let's talk about Roger Stone. Earlier today, the president, or in response, I think last night, to a comment by a post, a tweet by somebody, he retweeted and said Roger Stone can sleep well at night, implying he's not going to serve jail time, which is good. And it's important. And the reason it's important is because the simple fact is this. If you look now, and you have to go back and look at it, the history of what has happened, the fact is that Roger Stone was protecting and trying to stop the coup against the president. He literally was saying, I won't roll over and do like a lot of other people did and tell you a half truth and try to find a way to implicate the president or others. But the fact is, he stood up. He stood up to the coup. He stood up to what was going on. He never backed down. And what was that? What happened to him? He was decimated. He made to pay massive legal fees. Then he was put on trial in what can only be described as a kangaroo jury, a jury that seemed to have like a jury forewoman who was tweeting against him either during the trial or up until the very moment of the trial, and nobody seemed to notice. You got to wonder at a certain point about the swamp lawyers, that they think that no one should be, they're so sure of their righteousness, these prosecutors, that nothing else matters to them. They don't think they have to be abiding by any of what if it's a code of decency or the code of, actual code of conduct for lawyers. They don't care. They don't have to be bound by that, is what they seem to think. And so Stone goes through this trial, and it's up on appeal, by the way. We had David Schoen on the show. If you go to proamericareport.com right now and do a search, you'll see the segments with David Schoen, the lawyer for Roger Stone, up on appeal, and it's up on appeal. So, but more important than anything, this president needs to step in and pardon Roger Stone. I think he's going to do it, but frankly, he's just got to do it. It's taking too long. It's too delayed. It's too much, and he needs to do it. All right, let me give you an update real quick on General Flynn. General Flynn, his case. The argument on appeal is that it's about the Writ of Mandamus. So the Writ of Mandamus is the lower court, General Flynn and DOJ, the prosecutors and the defendant, it went and said, hey, you should tell this judge to let this case go. And the judge said no, Judge Sullivan. So now it's up on the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals has set a hearing for next Friday, a week from tomorrow. Yeah. And that will be a hearing in court where the three-judge panel hears the arguments. Now, what's interesting about this is that Judge Sullivan filed a response to the Writ of Mandamus and said he shouldn't have to do a Writ of Mandamus. He's just doing his job. But a bunch of other people, including Senator Cotton, U.S. Senator, and former Attorney General Ed Meese, and a few others, filed amicus curiae with the court saying, here's why it has to stop. It should stop right now. And the fact is that I think it's going that direction, but it's another 10 days. It's another 2, maybe 3 weeks. And how long is this going on? And just think about the money that's being spent by General Flynn and his team, and actually DOJ also, because the judge, Sullivan, doesn't want to do his job. It's a crazy situation, but it looks like it's headed to resolution. I spoke with General Flynn a couple days ago. He was in good spirits as usual. Very kind of even keeled on it, and he is just pushing ahead and thinks it'll resolve itself. But watch for those things. But back to my point, and what you need to know is know the bad guys. We're going to get to the bottom of Antifa, anyone else who was leading the charges to make this bad stuff happen, and then know the good guys. And don't be afraid to protect the good guys and to do the right thing for the good guys. You're not going to get any credit in the media. In fact, you're going to get the opposite. But the fact is, it's the right thing to do. It is legitimately the right thing to do, and I think the president will get there. But I want him to get there sooner on Roger Stone, and I hope that the Flynn thing is resolved quicker too. So, all right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from Hans von Spakovsky on voter fraud, another thing we have to worry about this fall, voter fraud, and a lot more. It's Ed Martin here on the Pro America Report. I'll be right back.